And then let's take a moment and generate our motivation and think that we'll listen and discuss together this evening so that we can learn about respect, how to respect ourselves, how to respect others, different forms of respect. And let's do this not only for our own benefit, but we live in a world where we're completely interdependent with each and every other living being. And so through learning and sharing this evening, may it have a broad impact because of us having a compassionate motivation that wants to see everyone benefit from what we're doing, either directly or indirectly. So with an attitude of wanting to contribute something good to the well-being of other living beings, then we'll listen and share together this evening. So take a moment and make that your motivation for being here. And then open your eyes, come out of your restful state. Now, so the talk's called The Power of Respect. And I think that this is a very timely topic, don't you? And I want to kind of ask a question first. I tend to slip into talking about politics. Is anybody here going to be offended if I do? It's not that I want to talk about politics, but when we have a topic like respect, what's going on in the country today, how can we not talk about it? Okay? Yeah. So if you don't want me to talk about it, just get your tomatoes ready and throw them at the right time. Okay? So, because I was thinking, about respect and different kinds of respect. So there's respecting ourselves, respecting others, respecting positions that people have. There's all sorts of different things to respect. And I wanted to look respect up in the dictionary, but of course I forgot. So I'll make up my own definition. But I think it has something to do with seeing the goodness in another person and honoring that. Yeah? Something to do with that. What respect doesn't have to do with is fear. And I think a lot in society, people confuse respect and fear. Like when you're a little kid and you're getting in trouble and your parent screams at you, "You've got to respect me." Then how do you feel as a kid? Do you honor what's good in that person? Or are you operating out of fear of getting in trouble? Okay, I don't know about you, but I was operating out of fear. Okay? And even as adults, very often we confuse respect with fear. And actually, they're two completely different things. So I do a lot of work with inmates in prisons. And respect is a really important thing when you are imprisoned, because the whole society has basically, put you in this facility, told you that you're a bad person, and treat you that way. The society treats you that way, the officials, the guards treat you that way. And so respect becomes very important when you're incarcerated, because you want other people to respect you. Okay? And respect becomes, they respect you if they fear you. Okay? So if you do something and I'm going to show people who's in charge, and I'm going to, scream the loudest and be the most assertive and be the most aggressive, and then people will respect me. They won't bully me. They won't push me around. They won't talk back to me or contradict me or talk behind my back. They'll respect me. That's what somebody's thinking. But I don't think that if you act that way, that people actually respect you. I think they're afraid of you. And they may go along with what you're demanding out of fear, but not out of respect. Does that make some sense to you? Yeah? Can you see in your lifetimes when you have been told to respect somebody, but you're fearing them? Okay? Then we're often told too, as kids, and as adults, that respect has to be earned. Yeah, now I try and think, what does that mean, to earn somebody's respect? Because different people are going to have different qualifications for what they consider qualities that are worthy of respect. It used to be, maybe, I'm not sure, that what people respected was honesty. When people were honest, then they earned, I don't know what kind of word that is, but they earned people's respect. They were worthy of respect because they were honest and they were fair. Okay? Nowadays, are those criteria for being respected? Yeah, when we look at what happened in the last election and what's happening now, is honesty and fairness qualities that people find worthy of respect? With all this how can I even talk about, what is coming out of the White House, even today, some person who used to be in Trump's campaign has revealed that he had contact with the Russians, in 2015. All the baseless accusations that are being made, all the lies during, interviews for cabinet positions and so on. Do we respect people who are honest and fair now? Or is the criteria for respect, has it degenerated so much that it's, you are respectable if you can lie and not get caught? And if you can make a big loud noise and make a big ruckus and gain a lot of attention, that makes you respectable. Yeah. So it's kind of like everything's become reality TV in a way. And as long as you can make yourself a star, then people respect you. Or they respect you because you have money. Is money a good criteria for earning respect? To respect somebody? Yeah, our society is pretty infatuated with money. But does having money make somebody worthy of respect? Yeah. Does having power make somebody worthy of respect? Now, what really in our society do we value now? So I say this because in my Buddhist training, a lot of one big portion has to do with how we view other living beings. And a meditation that is emphasized quite a bit is a meditation on equanimity, where we try to free our mind from attachment to friends, anger or aversion towards enemies, and apathy towards everybody else. In other words, we're trying to get rid of the ups and downs in our mind and have an equal, open-hearted attitude towards everybody. So equanimity doesn't mean equal in indifference. It means equal in being open-hearted and caring. Yeah. And so as I've practiced that meditation, yeah, I've come to see that to see everybody in an equal way, I have to look deeper than their superficial appearance in the world. I have to look deeper than their race, their ethnicity, their religion, their political views, their nationality, their gender, their everything else. I have to look deeper, than all of that to find something that is equal in everybody. Yeah. And I think what we find that's equal in everybody is also what makes everybody in one way or another worthy of respect as like a bottom line. So what is it that's equal in everybody? We all want happiness and we all want to be free of suffering. Okay. Now, that is not an astounding statement. I'm sure you all knew that before. Yeah. But we know it up here. We don't know it in here. Yeah. And so bringing this understanding from here into here, everybody wants happiness. Everybody wants to be free of suffering with the same intensity that I do. And everybody is worthy of happiness and worthy to be free of suffering with the same intensity that I am. Now here you're going to go, wait a minute. Okay, maybe they're equal in wanting suffering and not wanting happiness and not suffering. But I don't think everybody deserves happiness equally. Yeah? Who deserves happiness in our viewpoint? Well, first of all, ourselves. Let's get that straight from the get-go. Yeah, most important one who deserves happiness is me. After me, the next most important people are the people that I care about. The people who are nice to me, who treat me well, who love me, who encourage me, who take care of me. who I can count on. Those people are worthy of happiness. Yeah. Strangers, are they worthy of happiness? What do you think? They're worthy of happiness if they become people who can benefit me. If they don't become people who can benefit me, why should I care about their happiness? Why should they be worthy of happiness? And enemies, are they worthy of happiness? Forget it. They are worthy of suffering. We tell them to go to hell all the time. Yeah. Of course, they don't follow what we say. They never do. Yeah. So we really have categories in our mind for who we think is worthy of happiness. Yeah. Isn't it interesting that the people who are most worthy of happiness, first of all, me and the people who are close to me, and then the people who I don't know yet but who can benefit me. Isn't that interesting? Do you see some common theme here? Yeah. It's all about me, isn't it? It's all about me. If you treat me well, if you're on my side, if you agree with my ideas, you are worthy of happiness and you are worthy of respect. But if you don't treat me well, and especially if you don't agree with my ideas, then you are definitely not worthy of happiness, definitely not worthy of respect. Yeah. Only people who agree with me are worthy of respect and care. Isn't this kind of what's happening in the country now? Yeah? Do you remember the good old days where they used to have a political rally and nobody got beat up? You know, that doesn't happen anymore. Do you even remember, some of you are dinosaurs like me, do you remember listening to the news with Walter Cronkite? Remember that? When everybody heard the same news and when he spoke in a very level voice. Now, people discuss politics. It's crazy, isn't it? They're all talking on top of each other, interrupting each other, criticizing each other. Our level of social discourse in this country has gone downhill. You know, we don't respect each other. Yeah? We don't value each other as living human beings who want happiness and don't want to suffer. I think if we saw that basic common denominator that we all share, it would be much easier to respect others because we see that they're just like us. Yeah. Anybody here who doesn't want happiness? Anybody here who wants problems? You know? We have that in common, don't we? Yeah. Can we respect each other on that basis? We deserve happiness. We deserve freedom for suffering. We deserve respect as human beings. Yeah. And even the animals. I think animals deserve respect too. When I see people kicking their dogs, I cringe. You know, that dog has feelings. That dog wants to be happy. It doesn't want to suffer. Okay. Can we respect animals? Well, well, again, maybe the ones that are nice to us. Yeah. Do you respect cockroaches? You even hear the name and already you're taking off your shoe and getting ready to go bomb. But that cockroach wants to be happy and doesn't want to suffer. Can we respect that in the cockroach? Yeah. We live, you're all welcome to come visit us, by the way. We live about an hour north of here in the middle of nowhere. And so now spring is coming, so the wasps start to defrost, and we see them kind of crawling around, and it's like you see one wasp, and it's like this one is going to be the queen of a big wasp colony. Ah. But you know what we do? We gather them up gently. We don't kill them. We gather them up. We take them somewhere else, not near other people's houses, but out in another place in the middle of nowhere. And we leave them there so they can live happily ever after somewhere else. Yeah, because we respect life. Yeah, life is very precious. We respect life, even the life of a wasp or a cockroach. Yeah, mosquitoes, they can be a little bit trickier, but we also try and respect the lives of mosquitoes. Now, what about ISIS? What about Al-Qaeda? Yeah. What about the president? Yeah. Can we respect people who we disagree with? Can we respect people who may even try and harm us? I find it so interesting that we're so worried about terrorism, but more people in this country get killed by private citizens who have guns than by terrorists. Very few people get killed by terrorism here, but we're terrified of it. How do people get killed? By citizens having their own weapons. But nobody talks about that. And people respect other people who have guns, unless, of course, they wear black shirts and have the black flag and call themselves ISIS. Then we don't respect them, even though they have guns. But those people don't hurt us nearly as much as we harm each other, in this country. It's true. Yeah. So then you say, well, wait a minute, how can I respect an ISIS soldier? Yeah. First of all, do you know one? Anybody here know an ISIS soldier? Okay. So in our mind, an ISIS soldier is something that has been created by a combination of the news media and our mind. We don't even know one. We haven't even asked one, how did you come to be a soldier for ISIS? How did you come to join Al-Qaeda? What made you do that? What are you really interested in? What is it you really want in life? What's your motivation? Are you happy? Yeah. Is what you're really needing, what you're really wanting, is it getting fulfilled by what you're doing or not? it'd be really interesting to sit down and talk with somebody and ask them these questions. Yeah. How many of you have talked to people who voted for the opposite candidate than you voted for? Okay. How many of these people that you talked to were not family members? Not, you talked to people who weren't family members. Good for you. Yeah. How many of you felt that those discussions were valuable? Fewer hands. Yeah. You know, we should be able to find a way to talk to people who have the opposite, who vote for the opposite candidate in this past very contentious election, and find a way to talk to them and still respect them. Someone came up to me, this was many, many years ago, way before this election, and somebody came up to me and said, you know, I can, you know, wish everybody happiness, I can respect everybody, except how do I respect Republicans? You know? So what I'm saying is we should be able to drop the labels, drop our identities enough so that we can have a good discussion with somebody where we are truly from our hearts interested in who this human being is as a human being, not as a caricature that we have made up due to the news media and our own fabricating mind and projected on that person. Okay? Because we want people to see us for who we are and respect us for who we are. Yeah, if we would like that from them, we should try and train our mind and bring our mind to a point where we can look beyond our prejudice, beyond our stereotypes, beyond our preconceptions, and see an individual human being there that wants happiness and doesn't want to suffer. And due to whatever life circumstances they had, whatever conditioning they faced in their life, they made certain choices that may not be the choices I would make. But wouldn't it be interesting to find out why they made those choices and to really learn how different people think? Yeah? Don't you think it would be interesting? Yeah? And I think of those young boys who join up with ISIS. And I think, you know, probably a lot of them came from villages. Yeah? Some education, not a lot of education. Yeah? What were they taught as youngsters? What kind of job training did they have? What kind of hope for the future did they grow up seeing around them? Did they have a vision for a good future? Yeah, because I think that's what's really critical, I believe, to shaping who we become, is do we have a vision of something we can become that we respect and we think is good? Yeah. When all you see around you is war, when all you see around you is broken families and parents imprisoned or parents dead, or, you know, people strung out on drugs, or, you know, people being oppressed due to their religion, or being oppressed due to their social class or whatever, when that's all you see around you as you're growing up, what kind of vision do you get of the kind of person you can be and what you can experience in your life? Yeah, your vision becomes like this, doesn't it? It's only what you can see around you. And then if you see a TV program, yeah, if you've ever, how many of you have traveled for some period of time in a third world country and lived in a third world country? Not many. Let me tell you, if everybody in this country had that experience, we would think a lot differently. Yeah. I spent many years living in India and Nepal, and also traveled extensively in other countries. And you see how people live, and then you see the American television that they're watching on their TVs. It's unbelievable, you know? I mean, now India has really changed a lot since when I was there, and there's much more wealth, there's a middle class, but there's still very abject poverty in India. You know, people, thatched huts, earthen floor, cooking on a kerosene stove, no sanitation. You know, you go out in the field. Yeah, they don't make laws there about where you can go pee-pee. Yeah, here we spend so much time quarreling over where people can go pee-pee. Don't we? How many hours have people spent discussing this? You know, that's one thing if you live in a poor country, you don't care. Everybody goes out in the field. Yeah. But, you know, so people are living like that. But then, you know, in the village there's a TV, or maybe in their home there's a TV. And think of what you see on American TV, the houses. Yeah, the houses that what you see on American TV, most people in this country even don't live in those kind of houses. Yeah? You're always seeing, I mean, these huge mansion type of things. Yeah? And if you live in a third world country and you see that, yeah, and then you look at your life and what you can expect based on what you see your family and your community having, how are you going to see those people who have all that stuff? Yeah, and who spend their money dropping bombs on you. Yeah, how are you going to view those people? So just as we've never talked to an ISIS soldier and gotten to understand what life looks like from his mind, they haven't talked to one of us and seen what life looks like from us. And of course, if they talk to each one of us, they're going to get a different view, aren't they? Because we are not one homogeneous group of people, and neither are they. Yeah, everybody's an individual. So respect, you know, what does respect mean in that kind of situation? Yeah, can we open ourselves up to respect life, no matter whose life it is, without dividing people into friends, enemies, and strangers, without learning a name, a label about somebody, and then thinking we know everything about them. Yeah. I mean, we look at American soldiers, we hear their stories when they come back, how they felt when they saw one of their buddies get killed, or one of their buddies, or even they themselves step on an IED. Yeah, we hear their stories and how much they're bonded together and how much it hurts to see a fellow soldier, get injured or killed. Yeah, and that's we hear these personal stories from people that we know, or at least we can read about personal stories in magazines and newspapers and so on. But what about the ISIS soldiers? How did their family feel when their child gets killed? Yeah, we know how Gold Star family feels in this country. They have Gold Star families too. Yeah, who probably don't care much about politics at all and just are totally in anguish because their child died. Yeah. Are you getting what I'm getting at? If we could see what people's lives are like, the texture, the actual fabric of their individual lives, then they would be more human to us. Yeah. We could see them as people who had feelings, who wanted happiness, not suffering, people who experience pain, mental and physical. Yeah. And we could respect them simply for their humanity. I was once at a very large gathering of Buddhists. My teacher would have sometimes these large gatherings. We would all go to India and there'd be a few hundred people there, for a few months, training and studying and practicing together. And you would think that all Buddhists would be alike, wouldn't you? I mean, look at the front row. They're all wearing the same clothes. You can't tell one from the other. The same clothes, same hairdo. Yeah, they all look alike. They're not individuals. Let me tell you, there is such a wide variety of personalities. Yeah. So at this one, thing that my teacher held for a few months in India, I decided that I was going to talk to everybody at least once and make an effort to have a good conversation, not just chit-chat, but to really learn something about that person. Whether I agree with them or not, if I can learn how they think and why they think and what they've experienced in life, then I can learn a lot about being a human being myself. So I went around and, made a really strong effort to talk to everybody. And people were so different. Oh my goodness. Very, very different. And some people, it took me longer to have a good conversation, to find something that we were both interested in, even though we were both Buddhists. You'd think that all you have to do is talk about Buddhism and you'd be interested in the same thing. Not necessarily. Okay? So it was a very good mind-opening experience for me. And when I went to Tibet in when did I go? 87. It was a while ago. And I went to some of these monasteries where the communists had just burned the texts and destroyed the monasteries, and there was just rubble. Yeah. And there was one I went to, Ganden Monastery, one of the famous ones. It was up on the top of a hill, and we were in a bus. And the bus was, desperately trying to get up that hill. We finally made it. And I was thinking as we were going there about the PLA, People's Liberation Army soldiers, who had been there before and together with some other people who were Tibetans, destroyed it. And I started thinking, now why would somebody become a PLA soldier? Yeah. Because they were often, young boys from a totally different part. They were from, the eastern part of China, the northern part, or the southern part. They weren't born anywhere near Tibet. Yeah. They considered Tibet part of China. The Tibetans said, no, we're not part of China. But anyway, what would make somebody become a PLA soldier and go thousands of miles away to tear down monasteries? Yeah, I started thinking about that. What would make somebody do that? So, okay, they had the orders from their superiors. That's how they got there, and they did what they were supposed to do. But why did they join the PLA army? And I thought, most of them were probably village boys who had, what did they have to look forward to in life? Yeah? What was their vision of what they could become? Not very much. If you join the army, there's a choice, there's the opportunity maybe to get an education, maybe to go somewhere else and start a new life somewhere else. Yeah. Maybe there's some opportunity for you to advance in the military and, have better income. Maybe there's a chance that you come back and your village people see you as a hero. There's probably 1,001 different motivations that made these young people join that army. Yeah. And they were all, each individuals, looking for happiness, not wanting suffering. And they destroyed what I consider most precious. Can I hate them? Does my hate do any good? Doesn't do any good. Yeah, my hating them does not undo what happened. It doesn't prevent more of what happened. Yeah. So can I see them as human beings who are simply trying to be happy and not suffer? Yeah. Regardless of what they did in their ignorance, in their confusion, in their effort to be happy and not suffer. Yeah. in this country, the travel ban, you know, I went when that came out. What was it? January, end of January, something. January 27th. You know, where only certain people can come in this country and other people cannot come in this country. And then after that, the escalation in deportations of illegal immigrants. Yeah, people who have lived here, who have families here. Yeah, who are essentially American, except they don't have the piece of paper. These two things drive me completely buggy. You know, it goes against every value I have. Yeah. Because it's strange. You know, I'm realizing how much now I was conditioned by my elementary school education when I was told that this was a country that believed in freedom and believed in equality and that welcomed everybody and gave everybody a chance. That's what they told me in elementary school, and I believed them. Yeah. It's not true, but I believe them, and I want us somehow to try to live up to that. Yeah. Because I've seen, I'm the granddaughter of immigrants, and my grandparents, all four of them, came here fleeing persecution. So there's a certain personal flavor to this whole thing too. I mean, I grew up in the lap of luxury, but my grandparents were fleeing persecution. But why could my grandparents come in this country and other people can't? Yeah, why? So this kind of thing, you know, like I said, it just drives me buggy. And buggy is a mild word. Yeah, but I have to, you know, because in our training, you know, our Buddhist practice is not over here and life over here. You know, our spiritual practice and life have to go together. And we have to apply our spiritual practice to what's coming up in our life and what we live. Yeah. So it's so tempting to look at people, certain people in this country that make laws that exclude others. And I've experienced too much exclusion karma in my life, you know, being excluded from various things. Yeah. Basically because I'm a woman, but also for other reasons, but basically that one. And that I don't want to see anybody else excluded. Yeah, when people are excluded based on some general characteristic, I find that just intolerable. So how do I tolerate the people who make the laws or enforce the laws that make this happen? Yeah. So I have to admit, I have fantasies. Yeah, you know what my fantasy is? I fantasize giving a Dharma teaching with President Trump and Jeff Sessions and Pruitt, you know, the guy from the EPA who's making, whatever he's doing. And, McConnell. Yeah, and Ryan. And I wouldn't want to leave them out. And actually, you know what? The whole Congress. I'll take the Dems and the Republicans. Yeah, put them together in one room. Do you think that's possible? Yeah? With all the people working in the administration. Yeah? All the Supreme Court judges. And give them a teaching on compassion and equanimity. That's my fantasy. Yeah? And I have to keep that fantasy in order to be sane. Otherwise, I'm going to get really angry. Yeah? And I don't want to get angry because anger doesn't do any good and it does a lot of harm. And if I get angry, I become just like those people. So I don't want to do that either. Okay? So I want to find a way to respect them as human beings. Yeah? As human beings who are alive, who want to be happy, who don't want to suffer, but who are also ignorant and confused. Yeah? And to still believe that people can change. They may not change quickly. They may not change immediately. Yeah? But everybody has the potential for kindness. Everybody has the potential for compassion and care for others. And I want to focus on seeing that in these people, even though they may not see it in others. Okay? And so to be able to respect them in that way. It's what we call having the Buddha nature, the Buddha potential. Everybody has it, to respect people for that. And you know what? Showing respect to people does a lot of good. If I was going to come back again, I guess I mentioned that I do a lot of prison work. I go into prisons, I write to the people who are incarcerated. I talk to them exactly like I talk to everybody else. I'm not afraid when I go in a prison. Yeah, I just treat them like everybody else. And it's amazing the effect that has on people, especially people who have been downgraded, or no, is that the right word? Downgraded? Yeah, who have been disparaged by society. Yeah, and I just treat them like everybody else, because they are like everybody else. Yeah, I'm not any better. Yeah, I don't say, well, I'm Miss Purity incarnate here. No. So, and it's amazing how people just react when you treat them like everybody else. When you say please, when you say thank you, when you say, what do you think about this idea? When you say, tell me about your life. It's all of a sudden, these people become alive and, their behavior changes. Okay? So showing respect, which comes from valuing people at that very basic level, how we're all the same. That can really be quite powerful, I think. Okay, so I've talked for a while. Let's open it up for questions and maybe answers. so that you can ask what is important to you.
You made one comment about the border of illegal immigration.
Yeah.
And versus legal immigration. And that was a very sensitive topic. I was curious.
Yeah.
How do you see the border or immigration from your perspective?
How do I see it? I believe the Statue of Liberty represents something very noble. Yeah? And I would like, do you remember again the good old days when they used to talk about Congress making an immigration bill and finding a way to legalize the people who were here illegally? I'm not talking about the people who committed crimes, but they're not even talking about an immigration bill now. There's no talk of it. I remember the good old days where even Paul Ryan wanted to make an immigration bill. What happened? Yeah, we need some way to make people who have been living here, whose lives are here, who are essentially American, legal. There's an excellent book. It's called, what's it called? Undocumented? Yeah, Undocumented. And his name is Daniel Padilla Peralta. She went to school with him, actually. Yeah. And he was from Dominican Republic. Yeah. Came here as a child. Family was undocumented. He wound up going to Princeton. Then he went somewhere in Cambridge or Oxford. He's, a PhD and a professor now. And what he went through, being an undocumented immigrant, and yet what he became in his life. Yeah. It's interesting, when you open the book, on the title page, there's a quotation from Jeff Sessions that said something to the effect of, no person from the Dominican Republic has anything to offer this country. And then you read his biography. Yeah, he's in his early 30s now, his autobiography. Yeah. And you say, are we crazy? Yeah, are we crazy? And what about the way we treat citizens in this country? Minority citizens. Yeah. I mean, minority citizens deserve respect too. And they deserve equal education, equal opportunity. Yeah.
There are certain Buddhist monks in Southeast Asia who promote extremism against Muslims. How do you, or how does Buddhist faith deal with extremism within the ranks?
Most, the people I know disapprove, of course, And I think that, I know His Holiness has said something about it. Yeah. And all the people I know, we have said, when we have the opportunity, we can say something about it. And it's completely, what the justification is that they're using, it's just plain discrimination and prejudice. Yeah, it's not based on Buddhism at all. It's just people making us and them. Yeah. So I find that quite sad, And then again, those people off in boats in the middle of, what's the sea outside near Thailand, between Burma and Thailand, floating around. They're like the people coming from Africa trying to get into Italy, floating in a boat, overloaded, no, safety precautions, nothing. And my heart really goes out to them. So most of the Buddhists I know have that kind of, yeah.
You did with President Trump and into a series of compassion lectures.
Yeah.
I do that.
I wrote once, and what did they do? They said that it was like too full, something like, there were too many emails in the box or whatever. Yeah.
You
So.
have to learn how to put the political spin.
I'm not very good at politics,
You can try Twitter.
Hello.
Hi.
You made a comment earlier about cockroaches,
Yeah.
and I am of the opinion that the little ones are really cute. What do you think?
Yeah, I prefer the little ones to the big ones, but actually the big ones, there's something quite majestic about cockroaches that are this big long. I mean, I never saw America's big, but I never saw a cockroach this big in America. Yeah, I had to go to Hong Kong. Yeah, and they have big cockroaches there. Yeah. I didn't really want them scurrying over my bed, but, you take what you get.
So, do you want everyone to be giving everyone else respect and everyone else receiving respect? And could I ask a question after you give your answer again?
Yeah, about would I like to see people respected? Yes, definitely.
But wouldn't that devalue respect? Wouldn't it become valueless?
No, I think it would really, you value, if we respected each other as human beings, we would treat each other a lot nicer. Yeah, don't you think? So I don't think it devalues respect at all. It actually promotes harmony. And I think harmony is what we want. We're not all the same. We're never going to be the same. But can we live together in some kind of harmonious way? Or at least try to.
How old must you be to join the flock?
Now we know what it's called. It's not a gaggle. It's not a herd.
Most of you come from a totally different life.
Yeah.
Like family and children and jobs, other jobs.
Yeah, I think only one person here has a child. The rest of us, practice birth control. Okay. And we're trying to practice rebirth control also. So we don't get reborn. But yeah, we're very different, and people come from, we have so many different languages. We have French, Spanish, German, Chinese, Vietnamese,
Canadian.
And Canadian, yeah. And we have a guest from Russia also. So we come from very, very different backgrounds. Yeah, and we don't have a minimum age per se. It depends. We have an older age, but not a minimum. I mean, somebody kind of has to be old enough to be legally able to make their decisions. But, it depends more on someone's heart, their intention.
Hi, I'm Dakota Andrews, and I go to Lake City High School here in Coeur d'Alene. Only recently have I really looked into and or heard of like Buddhism teachings, and listening to you tonight really has like helped me understand, has put has given like my morals kind of like a face. I mean, I almost every day I'm gardening, and I ever since I was a child, I've like had like, immense respect for all life, and I just wanted to know if you have what are the steps to I mean, put more Buddhism in my life.
Yeah, okay. Okay, you're not ready to, no, I'm joking. I'm joking, it's okay. To put more Buddhism into your life, I would say, there's a Buddhist center here in Coeur d'Alene. There's the Abbey that's an hour away. There's in Spokane, there's a group that meets at UU Church on Monday nights. Go to a group, get a book there, start reading. At least on our website, we have all sorts of audio, video, written materials. So learn, and then go and meet people who are Buddhists, and don't just study at home, but really, meet people and engage in the practice. Yeah.
So I guess I wanted to ask you what your definition of respect is, and then once we have that out of the way, I have some more questions.
Yeah. It's like what I said at the beginning, somehow seeing goodness in somebody else and honoring that. Yeah. But like I said, I didn't look it up in the dictionary. I'm just making that up.
Yeah, that's fair. So as when I was listening to you, I was kind of bouncing what you were saying and seeing how it bounces off my life and what I see. And when I see people, when I look into this crowd, I don't see a single person and think like, oh, I want you to get cancer and I want you to get, hepatitis C and I don't know anybody here. Even the people that I do know, I don't think that. I think that I want well-being for all of them. I have no reason to want any of them to hurt or suffer. I don't want them to.
Yeah.
To see them suffer would be painful for me. The less I know them, or the less they're suffering, the less it'll hurt me. But at the end of the day, it's still not a good thing. You don't like suffering. Humans are averse to it. But I don't equate my wanting for well-being for everybody to respect. I feel like when somebody earns respect by doing something, having merit, going out and conquering some feat, however big or small it is, for each person will be different. Giving them respect after that empowers not only that person, but the relationship that you have with that person. And it makes the respect mean something. Do you think that there is a difference between your version of respect, which I feel like is more closely related to well-being, human well-being, and that of actual respect?
Yeah, I mean, the way I defined it and the way you're talking about it, yeah, there's a difference. I don't think that has to be contradictory at all. Yeah, because there's certain people, when I look at their attitude or they see what they've done in their life, I really respect that. Yeah, I respect those qualities, those attributes, those actions. But what I don't want to do is treasure that person and think that they are more worthy of happiness than anybody else.
Having that want to, for everybody to have a base level of happiness.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I can still see the remarkable qualities that individuals have, and certain qualities I respect more than others. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's funny that you brought up that quote from Jeff Sessions saying, oh, all these, others, it doesn't really matter who he's talking about, they can't do anything for America. And I find it really funny because I respect these people who make these treacherous journeys to get here.
Yeah.
It's a treacherous journey flying out, having a passport, coming back. That sucks in and of itself. But people who get on, fit 25 people on a boat that maybe can fit 10 normally and rowing hundreds of miles in here or running through I respect that. I
Yeah.
find it funny that Jeff Sessions says that they have nothing to offer. I would say that Americans don't have anything to offer the Americans. So little to come to this country, it doesn't mean anything to them. They were just born here. So
Yeah.
with that kind of in mind, do you think that immigrants almost have more of like a respectable nature? So not in the sense that we've been talking about with humankind having well-being for each other, but in a sense that they've accomplished something.
When I look at the lives of many immigrants, it's amazing to me what they've gone through and how they come out whole people through it, you know? I mean, I imagine if I were in that kind of situation, like, you know, growing up in El Salvador, for example, and having, you know, I mean, just to me, imagining people fighting in the town, that there's a war in the town, either due to the gang or to an actual war, whatever, and that people survive that, is like, I wonder, you know, if I were in that situation, what would happen to me? Would I just sit there and cry? And, you know, when you see, like in Syria, they have these people called the white helmets. So every time there's a bomb, they go out and they dig the people out from under the rubble. And they're endangering their own lives. And I think, you know, could I do that? Could I even live in Aleppo and remain sane? So, yeah, I mean, I respect what they've been through. Yeah. And then, of course, my teachers, you know, I really respect because of other qualities that they have, although many of my teachers were refugees too. Mm-hmm.
I don't mean to be this young man, but I don't think we can discount Americans that easily. How many of you are doing full-time jobs and really care about the work that you're doing?
Oh, yeah.
And the people that you're working with? How many of you, like me, have more than one job? And how many of you have cared for parents who are dying? I mean, Americans and people all over the world, every single day, are struggling to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that deserves respect.
Yes. Well put. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just wondering if you ever share your journey, your story, like where you started and how you got to where you are now.
Okay. Well, we're nearing the end, so I'll give you the short version. I could go on because you asked me to talk about myself, my favorite topic. Okay. So once upon a time, I grew up in a kind of middle class community outside of LA that was originally Orange Groves and eventually became a suburb. And I was wondering what the meaning of life was a lot, asked a lot of people, couldn't find any answers that made sense. Went away to college. This was in late 60s, early 70s. You can fill in for yourself what I did, those of you who know what we did in the late 60s, early 70s. And okay, so did that, joined in Vietnam War protests. I had no idea why people, you know what they told us? We are fighting this war so we can live in peace. Yeah, that's what I was in college. Third grade was better, you know. They said it's a nice country and we cherish people. There, you know, we're fighting a war to live in peace. I didn't buy it then, I don't buy it now. It doesn't make any sense to me. That doesn't mean I hate soldiers. Totally the opposite. You know, I really feel for people in the military. Anyway, So then I finished school. I worked for a year. I went traveling around the world. I got married, we returned all our wedding gifts, took the money and traveled. And I mean, how many toaster ovens do you need? How many blenders, you know? So we traveled. When our money ran out, we came back. I went back to graduate school in education, and then started teaching in the LA City schools. I saw one summer a flyer about a meditation course, and I didn't know anything about meditation, and in summers, teachers didn't have anything to do, so I signed up. And I went to this course. One of the first things, the teachers were two lamas, one L, not two L llamas. Yeah. So, uh, so in Tibetan, lama means like a teacher or a spiritual mentor. So, you know, one was born in Nepal, the other were born in Tibet. One of the first things they said was, you don't have to believe anything we say. I said, oh, phew, what a relief. Now I'll listen. Yeah? Because if they had come out saying, listen, we have the truth with a capital T, just believe what we tell you, I would have said, ciao, bye-bye. You know, I don't want that. So anyway, I listened to it, and when I thought about it, it made sense. When I practiced it, it really helped me. So I was supposed to go back to teaching in LA City schools that autumn, but this was 1975. So there were hardly any Buddhist centers or anything where they taught Buddhism in English, you know, and I didn't know an Asian language. So I quit my job and I went to Nepal, where these two lamas had a monastery. And the rest happened from there. Okay? If somebody had told me when I was 20 that I would become a Buddhist nun, I would have told them they were out of their mind, you know? But don't you agree that things happen in your life that you never expected? So here I am.